Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Nick's Quick Bits. Today, as you can tell from the title, we're going to be looking at sus chords, how to play them, more importantly, how to figure them out. We're going to be utilising kind of our open chord knowledge and maybe kind of turning them into bar chords as well, seeing how we can figure that out. Right, let's get into it. So I get a lot of beginner guitar students coming to me and they know how to play these sus chords, but they have no idea kind of what they are or how they're created. So we're just going to figure that out first. Our sus chords are built from our major or our minor chords. So our intervals would be a kind of a root, a third and a fifth, or with a minor chord, a root, a flat third and a fifth. And what sus means is to suspend. And in the case of our sus2s and our sus4s, we are suspending the third interval. So really the note that makes it major or minor. So in the case of the D, it's that note on the high E string, the F sharp or the F. And we suspend that note and we replace it with a second interval, which is just below the flat third interval, or we replace it with the fourth interval, which is just above the third interval. So in the case of our D, if we want a D sus4, we would take our F sharp, which is our third, and we would replace it, I use my little finger, we would replace it with the G, as G is the fourth of D. If we want a sus2, we would go to our major chord and go down 2 notes, or we go to our minor chord and take that flat third down once more to our second interval, which in the case of D is an E. So we would go D sus2. So let's see how some other shapes look and how we can figure out and utilize it all along the fretboard. A shapes start with an A major. Now our third, as we know, because we can change our third from when we change to major and minor, our third is on the B string. So for a fourth, we need to move it up to the third fret of the B string. I can use my little finger there. And for a sus2, if we start with a minor, we need to drop our flat third down to fret 0, which leaves us with an A sus2. What about an E shape? E major, pretty straightforward. We have our third here on our first fret of the G string. Turning that into a sus4 is pretty easy. We just take it up 1 fret to fret 2. And we have a nice E sus4. What about an E sus2 though? We have our minor here, so our flat third is on the open G string. Now, we're not going to tune the G string down half a step. We need to figure out the note that we need to add to our chord. And that note is F sharp, because F sharp is the second of E. So we have a couple of options. We can have the F sharp up here. We can have the F sharp maybe on the D string on the 4th fret. Let's try that. So we have our E minor. We're going to add the F sharp here. Now that's still sounding pretty minory to me. And it is. It's because we still are letting our flat third ring out from our G string. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and flatten my third finger a touch, just so it's catching that G string. And it's going to mute it. And then we have a B and another E. A nice E sus2 sounding chord. Okay, let's get a bit harder. C shape. We have our nice C major chord here. We need to find our third. Our third of C is an E, so we know that we have an E here on the D string. We also have an E here on the high E string. But we're going to replace this third here with our little finger, and we're just not going to play the high E string. So we're playing 3, 3, 0, and 1 on the A, D, G, and B strings. Okay, how about a C sus2? So that was our third. That means this is our flat third, and that is our second. And sure enough, D is the second interval of C. So we want 3, 0, 0, 1. So we have C, D, our sus2, G, our 5th, and another C, our octave, and we're not playing that high E string because that would be our 3rd. We don't want that in there. Okay, final shape, the G shape. Let's see, I'm going to make sure that I'm playing my 3rd finger here on the B string, which is a D note, because a lot of people play their Gs like this, and they let this B ring out, which is perfectly fine, but we want to suspend our 3rd. So I'm going to start by making sure that this is the 5th instead of the 3rd, and the 3rd that we're going to be moving around is this one here. So that's our major 3rd at the moment because we're playing a G major shape. If we move it up 1, nice sounding G sus4, we have a G, we have our sus4, which is a C, we have a D, which is our 5th, another G, our octave, another D, and another G. Now what about a G sus2? Let's figure out the note that we need to include. So if we start from G, our 2nd interval from G is an A. So we need to include an A into our G chord. That's pretty easy. We can just take our 3rd, we can take it down 2 frets and use the open A string. Now that to me sounds pretty muddy with that G and that A played so close together. So what I tend to do is I angle that 1st finger down, so I'm muting the A string, and I put the A on the top here. We're not adding anything as we've still suspended the 3rd. We are playing a G, a D, our 5th, a G, our root, another D, and an A. G sus2, nice sounding shape. That's about it for all of the open chords for our sus chords. Okay guys, that about covers it for sus chords in the open position. Very quickly, when it comes to bar chords, you're typically going to be relying on a couple of shapes, namely your E shape, A shape, and D shape sus chords. So for example, if you wanted to play a B sus4, you could play it here, starting from your B on the A string and using your A sus4 shape. You could jump up to the 7th fret on the low E string, find your B root note there, and you could play that E sus4 shape. Bit of a squeeze to get all the fingers on, but it works. And then you can use your D shape going up to the 9th fret, which is your B again, and using that D sus4 shape. And that's about it. As always guys, you can find all of these examples and more over on the veevguitar.com website. Log into the course. We cover sus chords in level 2 and in more detail in level 4. You can figure out how to play them as open chords and then moving on to play them as bar chords with loads of material to utilize them in songs as well. Alright guys, that about does it for me. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a share, like, subscribe if you're on the YouTubes, and we'll see you in the next one.